Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome to my massive LEGO Star Wars Battle of Kashyyyk MOC from Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. I started this MOC all the way back in February and just now finished it. This is a 10 feet long MOC by 6 feet or 40 gray base plates, and has over 200 minifigures and 100,000 pieces. But without further ado, let me show you the Battle of Kashyyyk in LEGO. So I'm going to break this down into 4 different sections since it's so massive. First, the water / droid invasion. Secondly, the beach / battlefront, the forest, and the huge Wookiee tree. So here we have the massive ocean section. Now, when I began to build this MOC, this was a major part of this whole process I wanted to make. Now, this consists of the droid invasion forces coming up that have 6 droid Snell tanks. One's a custom model from Brick Vault. Actually, it's super cool. Absolutely love it. And also pertains 3 different droid gunships, 2 droid carriers, and they're kind of going through, splashing up all the water. Now, the water itself pertains of this dark trans black or trans brown tile to give it a darker, more deeper effect that most Kashyyyk MOCs don't really capture, and that's something I really wanted to make my water for my Kashyyyk MOC look like. And as you can see here, the droid forces are actually pushing up onto the beach. Now, the beach is, of course, the focal point of the MOC, taking up the majority of it, and that's something I really wanted to capture with the scale of this MOC. When you look back at the Battle of Kashyyyk, it is a massive, massive beach that all the clones and droids are fighting on, so I wanted to capture that. Now, for the technique I wanted to use for the sand, now I actually made it mostly a tiled look that makes the sand and the beach look really smooth, and I absolutely loved it. And you can actually put a bunch of plate that adds the roughness to the sand if there's explosions or especially the tracks coming through for the Corporate Alliance tanks. I think that a detail looked really cool, especially for all the droids coming up and the actual spider droids, which are another addition to the droid army rushing up. I wanted to make sure the droid forces had enough beefiness to their army to take on the massive Wookiee army and clone army, which let's get to right now. Now, of course, the most iconic scene, at least for me, for Kashyyyk, is the hundreds of Wookiees charging up and roaring and going straight to the droid army. I just wanted to capture that, and here are all the Wookiees. We have the one Wookiee raising up, and he's about to charge in, and I just love that scene so much. As well as we have the Wookiee barriers, which are custom design that I really enjoyed. My friend Lego Master Harry I actually came up with that, so I really appreciate him with those designs. And there was 3 different Wookiee barriers on here. Of course, we have the main one with all the major Wookiee forces, and then we have 2 others on the sides behind our beach trenches. Now, if you do look in the Battle of Kashyyyk, there is multiple trenches going through the sand. They're not like hardcore trenches, but I really want to capture that. And you can see multiple clone troopers and turrets and all sorts of stuff. And I like how the trenches kind of naturally just kind of blend right into the sand. And one of my favorite parts actually of the battlefield portion. Now, of course, we're using a bunch of Kashyyyk 41st clone troopers. Now, I had about 60 or 70 I put into this MOC, as well as the other 41st Elite, I think the Ranger platoon that you don't actually see in Revenge of the Sith, but I wanted to add them kind of in the back, adding extra reinforcements to the clone army. Now, for our clone vehicles, we actually have a Juggernaut or turbo tank rushing in and actually making some major treads into the ground. As you can see, like the mud's flapping up as well as the sand. I really liked how that turned out, as well as we have 3 ATAPs. I have about 8 of them, so I didn't need that much for this MOC. Maybe Kashyyyk Part 2, make it even bigger next time, but 3 ATAPs, as well as 2 Swamp Speeders and a Lego ATRT, coming up to reinforce the clone Wookiee forces. Now there's a ton of small little details with the battlefield, as you can see here. A lot of different people rushing up on the beach, people getting shot down, really sad, you know. But let's move on to the foresty section. Now the foresty section was a afterthought actually. I didn't think I was going to add it into the MOC, but I decided it needed some variation, continuing the process of building Kashyyyk. Now this is mainly containing dark green plates and then a bunch of foliage. We have actually a swampy portion inspired from Star Wars Battlefront 2, where again we have the swamp speeders and some airborne troopers that are some of my first Lego Star Wars custom clone troopers I've ever gotten, and I wanted to add them as a little Easter egg in the MOC. Absolutely loved how that turned out, a little swamp area. And then as well we have a Wookiee hut. I wanted to add a uniqueness to my Kashyyyk MOC with having some actually Wookiee life in it. And this was a very interesting design to kind of come up with, because a lot of Wookiee structures are very circular in nature and there's little platforms. So I really am pleased with how the actual shaping of the Wookiee hut turned out. Now there is the majority of the ground action happening with the droid army, of course, rushing in, the clone and Wookiee forces defending. The iconic scenes from Kashyyyk are really captured there. But that's not all. The main build that I really tried to achieve here, and I think I made some awesome work, is the Wookiee tree. Now I really wanted to make a huge Wookiee tree that looked imposing just like you see in the movies. Now I have it where it's kind of cut off, like it's a cross section. It's not the total complete thing, but I absolutely love the scaling of it compared to the rest of the MOC, where you can see clone troopers and Wookiees shooting down on the oncoming droid invasion. Now this tree was definitely the hardest part of the MOC, getting it sturdy and we're building up really high, and making it larger at the same time is a kind of a struggle, of course, when building large scale Lego Star Wars MOCs. As we kind of see here, I actually have a section where we have the clone troopers. I wanted to add some phase 2 regular clone troopers from 2014 versions. I absolutely love that figure. We don't see it on the Battle of Kashyyyk. And a squad getting ready to go into battle. Actually, I have one coming out of one of the lower Wookiee doorways. It's the kind of non-official version of the MOC, but on this front side of the tree, you can see I have kind of the roots coming up and the nice little details and vines are going all the way up until we get to the second level, but we'll get to that later. Now the next section is the side of the tree, which is something I'm probably most pleased about with this MOC, is we have the Wookiee ceremonial area. Now this is kind of a light gray design with different kind of slope pieces to get this kind of weird design that the Wookiees came up with. We don't actually see this in the movie too much, but is in some concept art in Star Wars Battlefront 2, where we have different wall structures you can kind of see on the lower side of the tree, as well as some lights that you might recognize from Star Wars Battlefront 2 and different kind of hill areas. So that's kind of the lower level of the tree. Of course, kind of building it all the way up, we have a larger root structure on the side, kind of wrapping all the way up. I tried my best to capture every little detail from the tree on Kashyyyk. Now this is a home for the Wookiees. So our first part we actually see where some life is happening is these two different platforms on the lowest level. And this was the first part I actually made of the tree, and it was such a joy actually seeing some clone troopers and Wookiees actually standing on it and looking on the rest of the battlefield. So that's our first part. And if we go up, we actually have multiple different levels of platforms going on, with 3 different designs going on for the platforms. One is much harder to design, kind of a brick built design, using a lot of wedge plates to create a kind of circular semicircle. Is really tough to create in Lego. Of course, if you try to make a circle in Lego, it's super tough, but I feel like I captured 3 different really cool designs, as well as one that's more of like a massive brick built one that are for the smaller platforms going all the way across. You see there's clones shooting down, rushing out at the doorways. And then of course you see I have the Yoda and Gree kind of talking on the platform. Now obviously this is not to scale with the actual Wookiee tree, they're much higher, but I feel like it captures the same effects of them looking out on the battlefield just like you see in Revenge of the Sith. So there it is, guys. Pretty crazy. There is my Lego Star Wars Battle Kashyyyk MOC that I am just so proud of, and thank you guys so much for the support on this MOC build series. Speaking of MOC build series, if you want to see more stuff just like this, I'm going to be starting another MOC build series where I'm going to be building something even better than this. Yes, even better than this, coming up very soon. But that is it for building Kashyyyk, guys. Hope y'all enjoyed this series. Leave a like and comment down below what you thought about this and what's your favorite part about the MOC and your favorite memory of the series. And I'll see y'all next time.